What's up, Transformers fans? Dad Stevens, and today I'm going to be doing my spoiler review for the Transformers Rise of the Beast. So I went to watch it this morning, and wow, let me tell you now, this has to be the greatest Transformers film ever. And I really enjoyed it, I did. I mean, this time around, I actually did enjoy it. I didn't have the same kind of reaction like when I went to watch the last night and going like, oh, okay, it's just the same whole MacGuffin thing and yada yada and all that. But no, this time it was like, this felt like a Transformers movie, you know. And it was like the same feeling I had when I watched Bumblebee. When I obviously watching this film, I did feel like that. It was like Bumblebee. So obviously this time around the difference is like more robots than Bumblebee, you know. It's more action packed and all that, like what the Bayverse ones were like, but so with a little difference. But the film is enjoyable, and what goes down in it is really, really interesting, and let's say ending wise, mind blowing. What one I did not see coming happening. So obviously, before we get into talk about it, I must warn you that obviously this is a spoiler review, so I am going to be spoiling the film. So if you haven't seen the film yet, obviously click off now, and obviously so you'd save yourself and not hearing the spoilers. And then obviously once you've seen the film, you can come back here and then obviously hear my thoughts on this here and there, you know, my theories, you know, on this and that, and obviously hear my thoughts on what went down. But if you're one of those that you ain't that bothered, well, sit back and relax because we're going to go through this. Obviously, as normal, there will be bits I might missed out, but I am trying to make these not like a 40 minutes kind of video as well. I've been trying to, but let's just say once you get in talk of it, it's like I get carried away. So I'm trying to cut these down with these spoiler reviews, or as I've been saying lately, I'm thinking about more changing these types and just call them as ending spoiler reviews. So do like a little plot talk, and then mostly it would just be talking about the ending. So that's what I've been considering about doing lately. So anyway, let's get into it. So I bet the ones who don't want to be spoiled, I think you're all gone there. I think them gone. Ones who have stayed, well, enjoy the show. So where can we start off? So where do we start off with? So we start off on the Maximal planet, and yes, this tells us now that in this version, the Maximals are not from the future. I was really hoping they go for the future thing, but no, they don't. They're kind of going like what some modern versions of Transformers are going with, that the whole like Power of the Primes, like Prime was from present, and then Cyberverse was Cheeto was part of the present, so they gone with that. And obviously we get the introduction to Unicron, obviously coming to the planet to destroy the Maxwell homeworld when he sends out the Scorponok, you know, to go after them. Then we get our introduction to the Maximals, obviously Optimus Primal, Rhinox, Cheeto, and Air and a fifth Maximal, who's the same as Optimus Primal, but he's known as Apex. I think it's spelled with an A-P-E and then an L-I-N-Q. He's supposed to be like his character is supposed to be like who has the same design look as Optimus Primal, really. But he doesn't transform in the film, no. So at this point, he's the current leader of the team, and obviously they realize that we can't do anything about our planet, and we learned that they've come after the transport key. That's the MacGuffin on the film. I know I said about we got tired of all that, but I'll get more to my thoughts on this later. Obviously, he gives it to Primal, saying about taking off the world, go somewhere, because if Unicron gets it, he can have the master of time and space, you know, all that kind of thing. And this ape gives the leadership to Primal. So obviously Primal's now the leader of the Maximals. Whilst they flee to get to their ship, the Maximal other ape fights Scourge, so he makes his appearance. They have a bit of a quick fight, but Scourge obviously kills him and takes his logo. And there is a bunch of logos I saw on there, which I'll get to later on. And we do see the Maximals escape on their ship, and they get away quickly. So obviously now they're on their way to Earth, and you do see that they're coming close to Earth by that point. Then obviously we have a time jump into 1994. So it's 7 years after the Bumblebee film. So we start off obviously with Noah, one of our main stars. Obviously, he's an ex-military, obviously, engineer, if you want to call it like that. And we see his life that it looks like he lives with his mom and his little brother in an apartment. Things are not going great for the family, like money-wise. The little brother is sick. And obviously, because of the mother, she says she works at a hospital as a nurse. So, as we have got, yeah, if I believe she said that. So, they're looking good. Obviously, he's going for a job interview, but that doesn't go well. Before then, he takes his little brother to hospital, and that doesn't go well because obviously they're months behind on the bills and all that kind of thing, so they can't, look into his brother's illness and all that. The job one, like I said, he actually had an interview, but the boss called it off because he got words from his commander from the army saying about he's not a team player and this and that. So it's like, oh, sorry, I'm turning you down and all that. Then we do get introduced to our female of the film, well, the female human lead, and that's, I'll spell her name out, Elena, and obviously she's involved in the museum. Like when we heard about that in the film, that her boss is the one who keeps taking all her idea stuff and takes all that. She's more like she credits herself, so it's like, even if our girl character just, finds this or discovers that, the boss kind of like takes it as, oh, she's the one who done it. Like, takes it as full credit. So we notice that she's going through a bit of a time as well. And she notices that they're bringing an owl thing that has a maximal sign, which I'll get to more later. Then obviously Noah, bumped into a friend of his, and, well, let's say because after all that went down, he's noticed that, well, this ain't going good for us. But earlier, before the interview, he's made this say about, oh, there's a job, for us to steal a car and make money. But obviously, he turned it down. But obviously, after what went through, he went to his mate saying about, okay, what's this whole thing about you told me? So he tells about, okay, in this one place, there's this one vehicle we need to get. Obviously, Noah managed to get in and all that. And then, obviously, this is when we get our introduction to Moaz. And then, obviously, at the same time, when our main girl is looking at that the eagle statue, it obviously cracks up and we reveal the transport key. And then it activates, and then we get the scene of Optimus, obviously seeing him, obviously his first appearance of the film, in this truck and transformed to his robot form. And he noticed the old beam in the sky, and he goes like, no, what? Like he's surprised, going like, could this be? That kind of surprise thing. And he starts calling in the other boss, like Boom B, obviously RC, and then Moaz. Obviously, then Moaz starts to drive around and try to get away from the cops, like we saw in the trailers. And then, obviously, they take him to their hidden, well, you could say their hidden base and all that. And then, obviously, Optimus B and RC make their appearance there. Obviously, Prime made happy about Noah being there. And then, obviously, Prime discussed with them, saying about, oh, it must be the transport key, and saying about, oh, we can go home, we can finally get back home to save Cybertron. And then, obviously, they were thinking about, well, we can't go in and just get it, because they'll notice us. And then, obviously, Moaz goes like, what about him? He can do it. Obviously, he has a little talk with Noah to say about, look, you do this, and you can sell me, you get the money, and I can be off back to my planet. Which Noah does agree on to it. So they make their way to the museum. Now, obviously, we see Moaz. Now, there's one bit that is good, that Moaz is a multiple transformer. So, he had a triple changer because he transformed more into two vehicles. So, well, I mean, 3 vehicles, because, well, no, 2 vehicles, actually, because the one we see he mainly transforms in the film, that's one of his forms. Then, one he transforms into a Sideswipe vehicle, and his Moaz's G1 self, and then he turns into a truck as well. So I'm like, wait a minute, he turned into like an Optimus truck, so there's that as well. They manage to get in. Nova goes into the museum, obviously bumps into the girl, obviously notices that she's got the key, and then who makes their appearance? The Terracons. So obviously they must have picked up on the signal as well that the key is there. Obviously then Scourge sends out these 2 freezers, or as I like to call them, freezers soldiers. Well, Terracon freezer soldiers, or whatever you want to word them. Because later on, there is a lot of them later on for the final battle. Obviously, a lot of mess goes down, fighting goes down and all that. Even Nightbird and Battle Trap, oh god, they are tough in the battle. They are really... And their voices is like, wow, really menacing. Even Scourge's is as well. One point, it looks like Scourge he's got a put upper hand on Optimus, and Scourge does say the line. He does say the line says the line Primus, so that confirms that Primus is in this universe. I say he does. And then we see that Bumblebee gets stabbed by Scourge, and actually, he does make it look like that he did kill Bumblebee because his eyes go off. They do, and it's like, oh god, he's dead, and he even takes his logo. So that was bad. But then obviously the Terracons do get their hands on the key and get the key. But obviously then the Autobots and the humans are saved by Airazor, so she comes in to save the day. And she gets them, obviously, to get away from the area. Then we get a moment with Scourge communicating with Unicron. And the Unicron tells him that you only got the half of the key. And he does go and do a torture on him. But Scourge obviously praying to him saying, no, please, I'll go and find the other half and all that. Then obviously Airazor gave that same news to the Autobots saying about, oh no, the one that Scourge got is half of the key. So obviously then now them saying about, well, where's the other half? But obviously the woman noticed that, oh wait, I noticed that these symbols, so it must be in Perun, you know. So she's like, oh, this other key must be at Perun. So obviously they all agree to go to Perun. Even Noah says, look, I'm helping because if Unicron does come and he's going to try and end my world. I don't want that to happen, so I'm coming to help. Obviously, he goes off to see his brother to say goodbye, you know, before he goes off. And obviously, Mars does get to meet the brother. And then obviously, next morning, we see them all gathering back to the same place where they met, obviously where they were, after the battle. And then Stratosphere comes in, and so Stratosphere is like the transport for the Autobots to go around the world. And it is funny, I'll get more to them later. Obviously, they're all on the plane, and Airways will obviously fly next to Stratosphere. And they got Bumblebee's body with him, so they carried it with him. And on the plane, we see that, Prime saying about, you know, is his thought about what happened to Bumblebee and all this. And in the film, we get to see that it looks like Prime is feeling guilty for bringing the Autobots to Earth and, you know, and feel bad that, oh, we're not back on Cybertron saving our home. Noah does sort of feel like that kind of thing. So Optimus and Noah's character arc, they share the same arc, what they're going through? Like feeling like responsible, like bad of, oh, this is my fault, I brought this upon us, you know, and all that. So there is that into the story. Obviously they get to Perun and we get our introduction to Wheeljack. And his voice sounds a bit interesting because he does sound like a bit of a Spanish kind of thing. More I'll get onto later because there's a funny joke to that. Obviously, Wheeljack tells him about, I put the location to an area where the key will be. Then obviously there's a parade going on in Peru, so they goes like, oh, we can use this to sneak in. And obviously they say, well, we can use the humans to do it because obviously we ain't going to fit in on disguise-wise. So Optimus agrees on it. Even in this film, he does act like a funny with humans, so I'll get more to that later. Obviously, then, what happens is then they get into positions, obviously making sure that Noah and obviously the girl get through. They get to the area, and they notice this thing on the floor, and they was like, oh, looks like there's a doorway down to, obviously, to the location of this other key. And then, obviously, they manage to get it open, but the Terracons are already there, and he sends out, obviously, Scourge sends out the two freezers. Well, freezer, when I say it was only a one freezer he sends out. But then obviously our two humans find there's a temple underground. They open this kind of like a coffin thing where the key must be, but the problem is the key's not there. So it's like, oh, where's the half of the key? So that becomes where's that gone? But then obviously a freezer trooper attacks the two of them. And luckily, Nova managed to kill it with obviously a gun that he required from Mars, obviously, like we saw in the trailer. But then obviously we notice them running across in the tunnels, and obviously the Autobots go like, oh, here they are. They're moving, obviously they're on the ground. So they started to follow them. Even the Terracons followed them as well. They have a bit of a battle like on that thingy world like we saw in the trailers, you know, like when Battletrap blasts his missiles to RC and all that. That was like a sick battle. They managed to, but luckily the Autobots managed to lose obviously lose the Terracons. Airraiser obviously helps out as well, but then we noticed Scourge planted something on Airraiser, and it's like something that there were stories I did hear about what was going to go on with her in the film, but well, I'll get more to in the plot thing. Then obviously we get Nora and the girl meet up, Optimus Primal, and then all the other bots meet up, like we saw in the one clip. And then obviously Airraiser stops that whole kind of like Mexican standoff thing, and he says, "No, please, they're more friends." And then obviously Optimus Primal was surprised to see Airraiser. Then everyone gets calmed down, and Optimus Primal says, "I'm Optimus Primal." And we learned that he took the name Optimus Primal from Optimus. Well, he was inspired by Optimus. And then he explains about the whole, we came here because of Unicron, and we had to try to hide the key because obviously, if he gains the hand of the key, if he gains the hand of the transport key, he can travel through time and space, like that kind of thing. And then obviously they have a talk back and forward, and we learned that the Maximals were actually are friends with this tribe, well, or like this little village or whatever you want to call it. And obviously we learned that, oh wait, the Maximals have made friends with humans, because like I said, Prime is not really keen on the humans at this point. Well, obviously in this film. I'm not trying to say, when I say this part, I'm not trying to say like, obviously that's making it sound like that, oh, it's a prequel to the first film, but I'm like, but obviously we know, well, after this film, this definitely is not a prequel to the first film. But obviously, so we have that, well, obviously we get all of them to meet obviously we have the Autobots obviously meet the people there, and obviously Nova and the girl. And then it's obviously Sabosphere comes by to the place and brings Bumblebee, because obviously they said about, well, RC said earlier, can we still bring him back? And they said, oh, we need to put some energon into him. But obviously they learned that this planet has got some kind of energy, they got some energon in the walks. So he's like, oh, place, and obviously they place him on the walk, and then they're saying, we need something needs to happen, obviously, to activate that walk's energy to put onto Bumblebee. But it says, hopefully something, hopefully that bee will come back around. But then obviously, in the next morning, well, then obviously Noah, because because Noah says about, look, when we get the second half, we'll destroy the key to make sure that Unicron doesn't get here. But obviously the girl is like, we don't want to do that because the other boss want to go home, and all that. So there's that part of the story. And obviously the girl does, in the film, we notice that she notes down these symbols, and that comes with play a part that does in this film. The next morning, well, obviously we see that the girl hears noises, and she sees Airways and acting all funny and all that. And obviously we find out that, oh, the thing that Scourge planted on her was actually infecting her, like making her connecting to Scourge. So it was like, oh crap, Scourge is gonna know where they are. Airways loses control and tries to kill her, but obviously Primal fights her off. But it ends with Primal kills her because Airways noticed that, oh, there's no way to stop me. So she was like, no way to get this off me or get me back to normal. So she was like, you got it. In the words, he was more like, please kill me, Primal. But Primal does kill her. But obviously before then, she does give the other key, half of the key to Scourge. So he's like, oh crap, they've got the other part of the key. Then obviously we get because obviously before we do have the key on their hands, they do get it off Scourge, and then Noah does have it, but then he was about to destroy it with the gun, obviously the piece he got from Mars, but Optimus tells him to, no, don't, and he says, well, look, I know you want to do this because to save your species and all that, but please don't, like that kind of thing. Obviously Noah doesn't do it, but obviously they manage to get the key, well, Scourge and his team do, and they make their way up to like which I would say is like a volcano mountain thing. And they start to build this kind of teleport thing and obviously activate the transport key. So the portal starts to open. Then obviously at this moment, it's like the heroes, obviously Noah and Prime, feel like that, oh, we're too late. What we're going to do now? But obviously, then because obviously Optimus realised that all this time, if we would have been working together, none of this would have happened. Like that kind of speech kind of thing. But obviously the both go like that, realize like this, and go like, well, let's work together, all that kind of thing. So obviously they gathered who's alive together, saying about, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Obviously Primal is like, well, how are we gonna stop this now? So obviously they got the map board saying, okay, the humans will go through this bit, and us will distract the Terracons and the soldiers to give our two human friends a shot to obviously stop the key. Because later on, because obviously the human girl, she noticed that the symbol she got, she realized that the logos are used to turn off the key. So it was like, I figured out what these symbols are. These are the codes to use. Because obviously Primal says about there is a way to stop it by using a code, but we ain't got that. Well, or the half of it. But she goes like, I've got it. Here we go. We can use that then. So it's like, all right, let's go. So we have all of them going there. And then obviously, like I said, so the teleport is open. Obviously, the Terracons notice that the Autobots and Maximals are there and go like, oh crap, like, no, they ain't gonna stop us. Like, they're kind of surprised, it's like, how the hell they're still here and all that. And then obviously we get to see the Terracon soldiers, or like the Freezers soldiers, whatever you want to call them. And then we get our big fight with the Maximals and Autobots fighting them. Even we see the Maximals transform. In the battlefield, we see multiple deaths of Freezers. Battle Trap dies. Optimus was going to kill him, but Primal smashes him with his own kind of ball weapon. And Prime does say, like, he was my kill. And Primal goes like, like that. Then obviously we notice that a big blast happens and he walks the Energon a bit on the walks, which means Bumblbee's back to life. Yes, he is. And then obviously we see Noah and the girl try to make their way to the thing, but Scourge notices Noah, so he grabs him. And then obviously Moaz comes in to try to help, obviously to save Noah. He has a fight with Scourge. And obviously manages to knock a helmet off Scourge, and we see that, his face ain't looking good. But he's about to kill Noah, but Moaz jumps in and he sort of gets a damaged hurt. And at the point, it does look like he's dead. And then obviously we hear his little brother talking through the comms, because in the film they got like they got like these walkie-talkies, because to one another, like he calls Noah Sonic, and his little brother is called his Tails, like Sonic the Hedgehog, I think. And obviously he says, I'm sorry, brother, we couldn't stop this. And his little brother goes like, you got to do this. He said, I have never given up because of my sickness. I haven't given up. You have to do the same. So obviously, and then we notice that Moaz is all right. And he goes like, we need to do this and all that. And then what he does is and then obviously what he does is all these parts go into Noah, and he gives him the suit like we saw in the trailer. And then Bumblebee obviously comes in, which obviously Stratosphere drops him off. Bumblebee doing these gun blasting, these like little pods dropping down. He takes on Nightbird and he kills Nightbird, so she gets killed off. So that was a big thing. Then obviously the girl obviously makes her way close to the panel, but Freezer nearly ends her, but obviously she managed to kill it. And obviously keeps the codes with her. She gets to the thing, obviously starts putting the codes in. The battle is really big, so they fight and all that. Then obviously we see Unicron obviously making a little party out of the portal to the Earth's atmosphere, and he starts dropping the Scorponok, so they join in the battle. But then luckily the girl managed to get the code in, but then hang on, that's a bit further. And then obviously we see a fight with Optimus taking on Scourge. And then what Optimus does, he kills Scourge. He managed to kill him, he does. So Scourge dies as well in the film. And gets Bumblebee's logo back, so that's pretty cool. But then obviously we see that what happens is when the portal was about to shut, but then what happens is the panel gets shot, so it's like, they can't turn the portal off. But then Optimus realizes that he has to destroy the key to stop Unicron from coming through. He does it, so he stops the whole thing going. He sucks everything back in, like the freezers and that kind of the portal big machine thing. Luckily, Nova and Prime will save Prime, so they get him out of there. And it's like a big win for all the. It's a big win to everyone. But obviously they said, well, this ain't over yet because of Unicron, and he'll be back, and all that. So in the aftermath of the whole thing, we see obviously Noah. Obviously, looks like he got a second chance at the interview at the same place. Then we see our main human. Looks like she's finally getting credit for something she's discovered, so that's good for her. And then obviously we see Noah in the interview with the guy the guy he saw earlier who told him I cancelled the interview. They have a little talk about, I noticed you ain't got much on your resume, that kind of thing. And obviously he has a little talk with him about, what I've been doing a little lately, not mentioning the Autobots and all that. But then the bloke says about, because Noah says about he's in this one country, but then the guy says, I heard the stuff about Perun is good, like that kind of thing. But then I'm like, wait a minute, he didn't say Perun. So I was like, oh, somehow he knows about the Autobots and all that. So it was like, we know what you did and all that. And he says to Noah, we want you to join us. And he says, and he also does bring up saying about, you don't need to worry about your brother. We will get the best doctors on him and the money. You won't have problems with that again. So he was like, oh, that was good. Now, at that bit, I was like, oh, is he part of Sector 7? Which, that would make sense how they would know about the Transformers because of Bumpy and obviously Saturn Dropkick. And then behind him, he opens the doorway, like the wall opens up like a door, and it's like a secret base. And you can see like some kind of weird Cybertronian ship, and he goes like, we would like you to join us and all that. But obviously he gives Noah a card, but then when Noah turns the card around, I was expecting to say Sector 7. Oh no, it doesn't say Sector 7. It says G.I. Joe. So yeah, the G.I. Joe are in the same universe in the Transformers world. So that was mind-blowing. And obviously to finish up before I get to more talks on it, we see that obviously Noah fixing Mars. So obviously he got all his parts with him. Obviously that was part of the suit. We managed to get it to turn back into a vehicle. Then we got that Noah's mate pop in, And then obviously once he finished fixing on Mars transforms. So we see that, okay, Mars is alive. And obviously the guy is in shock because he's going like, what the... And then all we see is Mars behind him going like, ooh, I'm back and all that. And then film finish off. So that's the story. Oh. Okay, so yes, that's what went down. Like I said, I might have missed bits here and there, but like I've always said, those bits I don't tell you, they'll be a surprise to you. Whew. Sauce that went like that whole whoosh, but that's gone a bit longer than I thought. But now, anyway, let's get into my thoughts and theories then, quickly. So, first off on my thoughts, like I said, I really enjoy this film. I really enjoy the film. It felt really different. Looks like this time around, yes, we do get most of the Transformers scene, so that was pretty cool. There was moments when I felt like after the Maximals first scene, and then we just jumped to see Noah and the human side, I was like, oh, I just want to get to the Autobots bit. Come on, just get to the Transformers bit. And it did, to me, it felt like that took a bit to get to. And then there was moments I did felt like that they kept jumping back to the humans, and I'm like, oh, can we just jump back to the Wobots? I'm here to see Wobots, not humans. But in a way, the story for Noah and the girl, it was good, like obviously how they put them into it. My problems I did have on the films was, obviously that was one of them. Saw the Maximals don't transform into their wobble forms that much, but I mean, you gotta think this is the first Transformers film in the new universe, because I'm saying this now, I'm classing this film as Transformers 1. I know you might say, no, this ain't Transformers 1, this is Transformers 7. But no, to me, this is Transformers 1, because obviously this is set in the new universe. And this is not in the Bayverse. That's all I'm saying now. And then obviously, Airraiser was a problem as well, because I was really hoping we saw it transform into a wobble form, but we don't get that. That one was a bit interesting, like I said. Now, that was the one rumor we heard about that, Airraiser is going to get controlled by the Terracons, and looks like that did happen. Now, on the little bit I'm reading here, which it was like the plot thing that's on Wiki. I know I've said before, Wiki cannot always be trusted, but obviously I'm just using this to help me, to obviously help me to of the film. But in the one bit here, it says here that the thing what was put on Airways was Dark Energon. Now I don't recall they used the word Dark Energon, but okay, that's a bit interesting if that was Dark Energon, because obviously we know that Dark Energon is the blood of Unicron. Well, that's what it was in the Transformers Prime version, but I don't know if that will be the same for this universe's one, but could be. But if so it looks like if that is Dark Energon, so we notice that, okay, in this universe, the Dark Energon is used to kind of like take control of someone. So that's a bit interesting. Now, the villains, I thought they were interesting, like, very, very interesting. Now, I know they do tend to speak, they do get good talk lines, dialogues in the film, but to me, I feel like, I don't think they got a lot of dialogue in it, but Scourge, I felt like he got a good amount, but the other two, Battle Trap and Nightbird, they did get dialogues, but I thought there could have been, like, more dialogues for them. Frieza, I did expect that, well, the Frieza and those other sort of Frieza troops, I didn't expect they speak at all, but I ain't got no problem with that, because, well, let's say about the Autobots. I thought all the Autobots looked great, their design and everything. I was a bit still funny on the Wheeljack one. I mean, I didn't really think of that at all, about Wheeljack's look, going like, oh god, and all that. And the one thing was a bit weird was it was like, in the lineup before they charged into battle, like we saw in the trailer, the second trailer, we did see that these fins popped out, but when it came to the battle, we don't see the fins, so I don't know what was that about then. I was like, in my mind I was going like, wait, where's the fins? Because I thought they'd be part of his battle mask, and no, he doesn't have his battle mask, so we don't see the battle mouth thing appear and the fins, so that was a bit strange on that, because I thought he was supposed to get a design change, well, on the head bit, but I don't know what happened there. Now, the one part that was a bit odd was, because it says they're still crediting me to say that Wynox spoke, but I didn't hear Wynox at all speak, so I thought that was a bit strange, and that's a bit disappointing, because I was like, obviously we heard Cheeto talk a couple of times, and from what we got from him, he sounded interesting, but don't get me wrong, look, it was still a good film, I still enjoyed it, but it looks like they're still falling into some bit of problems when I'm like, oh, where's a lot of the Wildbot scenes? The film did, in my mind after seeing it, I did think about this again, and I was like, oh, it's sort of like Bumblebee kind of type, like when you got bits with the human scenes and then the Bumblebee scene and the Decepticon scenes, like that kind of thing. So, in my mind, I'm just putting it down to, okay, it's like that. It's like that kind of Bumblebee feel, So it was like that. I love the interest about the story about that plot about, the reason why the Terracons and Unicron wanted the key was so obviously then Unicron can use that to, teleport across the galaxy, because we learned that the other part obviously he needed it for, because obviously he's a slow transformer, so obviously it's like if he had he has the transport key, that tells us that, so that means then he can get to planets very quickly, which makes sense because he is a big giant planet and it would take him ages to get to a planet, so and it sounds like he does need planets to survive. Now, I don't know if that was the case in G1, like, he has to get to the next planet quickly because he'll die. It did remind me a little bit going like, that's kind of like a Galactus kind of vibe. Because obviously Galactus is all about eats a planet to survive, and if he doesn't get to the next planet to eat, he'll die. So I thought, because to me, I feel like for the Transformers Universe one, I feel like Unicron is the Galactus of the Transformers, like the Transformers Universe. That's what I feel like for Unicron and Galactus. They're both like the same. But obviously the difference is Unicron's a Transformer and Galactus is a giant human-y look, beam. One I was glad about was, they didn't kill Unicron off, which I did have a good feeling that they wouldn't kill him off. His voice in the film, is menacing. I was expecting him to have a voice sort of like his G1 counterpart, but it doesn't. But that doesn't really bother me. I said it might be, oh, that might be a big surprise. Like, oh, he does have he has that G1 voice thing. But nah, the voice we hear in the film, it ain't that bad, really. I'm not saying it's terrible or crap. It's actually really good, and it is menacing. To me, it felt like a menacing type of voice. So there's that. That's a good point on that. Another bad point I would put is the killing the Terracons on, which I was like, oh, we're still doing the whole killing bad guys thing. But that was a surprise because some days earlier, I heard about, I heard that, oh, it was only going to be 2 Terracons survive. And it made it sound like that Battletrap and Nightbird survived. But no, they killed them off and even Scourge. So that was surprising. Oh, and one thing I will tell you all. No, Scourge is not Optimus Prime from the Bayverse. I thought this out there, just in case you were wondering. No, they were not doing that. The other thing I'm surprised they didn't fall into was the multiverse part, because obviously not long back when we got the little info card on these character, on Unicron's one, they said about the multiverse, so I thought, oh, I wonder that would be brought up in the film a bit about that. But that doesn't get brought up here, so hopefully that gets explored more in the next Transformers film, with Unicron. Maybe they might bring up more on, maybe that might get mentioned about that. Then the other bad one is the Airways, and like I said, killing her off and not having her in a Transformers form. That was a bit bad, but it is a Transformers film, so sometimes you never get what you want, really. And now, my thoughts about the ending. So, obviously, one is a sign that Unicron will be back. How would he get to Earth? I mean, how would he try to get to Earth again and all that? It might go with the route that it might take him ages to get to Earth, all that. Nonetheless, if they, another evil group find a way to open a transport portal, maybe not doing the same way we saw in this film, but somewhere different, that could be a one way. Who would be the next villains of the next film? Well, that's a bit interesting because I will bring this up. We only get one credit scene, which is the one when I said about Noah fixing Mars. That was the only credit scene we get. But I was hoping in the post-credit scene we get a hint of a Megatron in the next film, like a Predacon Megatron or Decepticon Megatron, but we don't get that. But I'm leaning more that they could lead to the Predacon Megatron for the next film as the next main villain for the next one. Because the one thing that got me weird was with the Scorponok in this film. Now, obviously we heard that this Scorponok was a Predacon one, and because we saw multiple of them, I was like, oh, and they're going with the, we do have a main Scorponok, and then the rest are all just like minion soldiers of Scorponok. But the one thing that got me was, in the film, no Maximum even shouted the word Predacons. So, now after seeing the film, I'm going saying that, wait, was this Scorponok a Predacon, or did they decide not to have him as a Predacon now? Which, it was a bit weird. Even for the Decepticons as well, they don't follow that. You don't have an appearance from the both sides. Well, you do with Scorponok, but I'm having a bit of a thinking now of my thoughts on it now, saying that, wait, is he a Predacon, or did they decide to get rid of that bit now? Which it's thrown me off a little bit. But that's why now I'm leaning to more that the next film, the main villains have to be the Predacons. Because even if the name wasn't mentioned, but yeah, if they do turn around and say, oh yeah, the Scorponok and the Scorpions were definitely Predacons, then I can be like, okay, that was just one Predacon tease. Next film, we're going to get a buzz of them, like the Predacon Megatron, Transitus, Black Arachniac, Dinobot, which I hope he is in the next film. They do bring him on. And the other Predacons we get, like Waspinator, which, that'd be funny if he makes an appearance. And I hope they keep him the same way like he is in the cartoon. But that's why I'm going with that one. A quickly one to mention as well was the Scourge. Now, because obviously we heard in the film that what he does to his victims is he takes their logos and he places them on his body. What I could see on his body now, I would have put down what we saw. So we noticed, in set photos, we saw a couple of them. So we saw like ones like, we saw like all the a Decepticon one. There's a different types of Autobot ones. So we saw like one that looks like an elite god kind of feel like. One that's kind of like got a weird weapon he kind of looks under it. So I kept thinking, well, I think I heard that someone said it what that logo could be. Like, could that be like for the Wreckers? So that could be interesting. We see Predacon ones, so I thought, because I thought after seeing that on the poster of Scourge, it was like, that started questioning me a bit, because I'm like, wait a minute, if the Terracons are not allies with Predacons, then why do they have Scorponok and each Predacon Scorpions on their side? Which I thought that didn't make sense. And they don't get into that in this film, so I'm like, well, hang on, if he hunts Predacons, then why do they have Predacons on their side? So, hopefully the next film might bring up bits on that. And I said there was and I think I heard there was Decepticon logos on there. I couldn't recall if I saw one on there. And there was possibly like Maximal logos on there. So it says Scourge has killed Maximals as well. Because obviously he got it from the other group as well. So really there is that. So hopefully that might get brought more into the whole, are Terracons allied with Predacons or not? But we don't know. Last thing to bring up is the G.I. Joe one. So that was a mind blower to me. So now this tells me that in the new Transformers universe, we got the G.I. Joe in it. Now, I need you guys to throw this out. Now, I don't want spoilers from this. Not from this one film I'm going to say now. So, does that mean that Snake Eyes, the film, is part of this new Transformers universe? Or are they just going to say that Snake Eyes is not in that universe, that's just a separate universe? Because obviously I haven't seen the Snake Eye film yet, and I feel like now I need to watch that just in case if they do say, oh, Snake Eyes is part of that universe. Now, I don't know if the first G.I. Joe films are possibly in that universe as well, because I heard about the next G.I. Joe one's supposed to be a reboot, so it may sound like, oh, it's going to be set in a new universe, and it's going to be the case of, oh, the two films don't exist in that world. So, if you could put that down in the comments and all that, just, I would love to hear about that. So, and what does that mean as well? So, it may sound like that the G.I. Joes know the Transformers, so, and that's the thing as well. So, we're getting here that the people in Perun, though obviously the village thing, knows of the Maximals, so, because now that brings me on the, what point of time did the Maximals get to Earth? Because I thought, like, if they get a prequel film, I thought that, they'll be at the time with the K-Mans and all that, but I feel like now, if they are planning a solo film of them, I feel like that they could just say, they came to Earth around the time when humans are not the K-Mans anymore. That's what I feel like on that. But hopefully in the future that gets us spawn more on, what was that like when they first met each other? And even now with the G.I. Joe as well, it's like, how long have they known about this? Like, did they learn this from Sector 7? Like, did John Cena's character might have known about them as well? Like, there's a lot to go by for the future. So, and now for me, I feel like that this universe ain't going to be known as the Transformers Cinematic Universe or the Nightverse or whatever they're going to call it. I feel like this could be a start of a new universe called the Hasbro Cinematic Universe. I'm just saying it now. If it is, I will not be surprised. And so, yeah, that's all I got to say on this. So, to me, I give this film, for now, I'll give it a 10 out of 10. I mean, in my mind, I keep thinking, I might tone that down a bit later on when I watch it again more and all that. But I think it'll still be a 10 out of 10 for me. So, obviously, if you want to leave your thoughts down below about all this, once we've seen the film, I would like to hear your own theories and all this about what you got from this film, like what's going to go on in the future. Obviously, about the Snake Eyes thing, please give me some talks on that, and don't spoil Snake Eyes, because I am now planning to go and try and watch Snake Eyes, just in case, like I said, if they do bring this into this universe. And also, I do want to say as well, do you believe now this is 100% not set in the Bayverse? Because, I mean, after the second trailer, I said this is 100% not in the Bayverse. But now seeing this film with the G.I. Joe thing, this tells me that this is 100, and I repeat, 100% not in the Bayverse. So, that's what I'm sticking with. It is in his own. It's in his own universe with G.I. Joe existing them, and who knows, other Hasbro like Dungeons and Dragons could exist in that world as well. And I said as well. Who knows? Maybe that new Dungeons and Dragons could somehow fit in that to that universe as well. I don't know how. I'm just saying they could do. So I'd love to hear all those thoughts on it down below. And also, I want to hear your thoughts. Like, did you enjoy the film and all that as well? And what score would you give this film? Like, I mean, I'll give it 10 out of 10. Also, give this video as a thumbs up. You know, if you like the video, share this out to your friends. So if anyone wants to watch someone different for a change, they could watch one of my videos. And if they like it, they can subscribe to this channel. And if you are new to this channel, this is what I do. I do the Transformers and Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of spoiler reviews. I also do the news videos. I do the Super Bowl TV spots. And obviously I avoid the clip ones, or you know, like clips and TV spots kind of reaction videos. I don't do those. I mean, I know I always said about I don't watch them, but I technically do. But I technically watch the ones that are not like a 2 weeks before the film kind of ways. Like, if I see something that's a little interesting, I might go like, oh, okay, I might just watch that one. But that'll only be one, I would say. But let's just say there might be like, I might see one clip or my one TV spot, but I'm like, no, I don't want to see a lot of them because I don't want to be spoiled for the movie. So there's that. So obviously there's that bit. And to finish off, and one last thing, if you want to see me last Transformers video, click here. My channel, make sure you click the bell so we know if I'm new videos up. And here to see me last Marvel video. So that's it today, guys. I'm sorry this is going on a bit long. As I've noticed, it's going on for 45 minutes. I think I am going to start maybe just changing the whole spoiler thing. I might just go with the ending kind of type videos. So I might just go with that. Yeah, I think now this shows that this is taking much of my time, and I do want these. And I don't want to be one of those I don't want to have one of my videos that goes on for this long. So, yeah, this might be my last time doing videos like this. So I would need to now start thinking on how can I do like those ending kind of video ones. But I've seen a couple of YouTubers how they do it, so I might take notes from them, like how they do it. Not copy them, but obviously make it into my own thing as well. But get some ideas how I continue to then obviously make it into my own thing, you know, that kind of thing. I'm finding it hard to explain, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. In other words, I'm not trying to copy the others. I'm just trying to be my own thing. So that's it really, guys. So I hope you enjoy this spoiler review of Transformers Rise of the Beast. Thank you for watching. See you again soon. Peace.